Welcome to Trashmagination, a podcast about reimagining trash. I'm Carla Brown. One of my favorite podcasts is Happier, hosted by Gretchen Rubin and Elizabeth Kraft. They share tips on how to build life habits which will increase your happiness. They also address common reasons why you might not be happy, which they call stumbling blocks. In this week's episode, a listener wrote asking for advice on what to do with a wedding dress. It had belonged to this listener's mother, and the listener did not want to keep holding on to it. However, this person was nervous about donating the dress to a thrift shop because they imagined it being treated disrespectfully as a costume, and they also did not want to make the dress into something new. Gretchen and Liz advised the person to find a place to donate the dress, where the dress would definitely be used by a bride. And producer Kristen said she really loved wearing a second-hand dress at her own wedding. This discussion inspired me to make my own episode about creative reuse of wedding dresses and accessories. So here are some tips on what to do with this very sentimental item. I should note that I still have my own wedding dress in the closet, and I have not made it into something new. My thinking is that maybe my daughter would like to wear it someday, and if that doesn't happen, I can find a new use for it then. I also imagine putting it on for my kids someday. My own dress was secondhand. It was not my original plan to wear a wedding dress. I just wanted to wear a nice dress. However, my mom brought me to this place that specialized in secondhand wedding dresses because she knew that would appeal to me. And when I tried on the one that I ended up wearing, I just really loved it. It had this beautiful handmade lace all around the shoulders that just made me feel really awesome. Plus, it only cost a few $100s. I did have to get it tailored to fit me better, but luckily it had this giant bow in the back, so we had enough fabric to do the tailoring. I'll post a photo of myself in my wedding dress in the show notes. So Gretchen and Liz were correct that there are many organizations which help brides find secondhand dresses. A lot of these organizations are actually charities, and the profits from selling the dresses help other people. So, for example, there is Brides Against Breast Cancer, Brides Across America, who help brides who are from a military or first responder background, Brides for a Cause, which raises money for various causes in Oregon and Washington, and Adorned in Grace, which is also in Oregon, and their profits support organizations to help victims of sexual trafficking. So it might help the listener to know that their donation of a dress does more than help the new bride, but also helps the people who receive the profits through the organizations that help them. The limitation of most charity programs is that they only want dresses that are less than 5 or 7 years old. So, in fact, this is not really an option for the person who wanted to find a new home for her mother's wedding gown. However, fashions come and go, and sometimes the dresses that were popular 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, these might be exactly what people are looking for today. So it's still worthwhile to search for options where you could give a secondhand wedding dress. There are companies in your area who might take the dress. I found a number of companies where I live near Washington, D.C. If there are no local companies that will take the dress, there are also websites where people can post their dresses, such as Nearly Newlywed, Still White, and Pre-Owned Wedding Dresses. Now, the person who asked Gretchen and Liz for advice specifically did not want to remake her mother's wedding gown into something new. But for many people, this is a great option. A lot of the project ideas that I found are about taking the fabric that the gown was made from and reusing it into something really small and beautiful that you could have around the house, but don't take as much room as a whole dress. Also, it might be easier for someone to have the dress remade into something if they had a piece of art inspired by the dress. I found an artist who specializes in drawing wedding dresses in a frameable sketch, so that's kind of nice. You would have an image of the dress for all time other than just the photograph. There is also a very compelling program called Angel Gowns, which takes wedding gowns and makes gowns for babies who will not come home from the hospital. And they give these for free to the families, and the gowns are sewn by volunteers. So I put some projects for creative reuse of wedding dresses on a Pinterest board, including taking a piece of lace and putting it in a locket, taking lace and putting it in a frame, making a scarf from the fabric or lace, making earrings if the lace on your dress has, for example, a flower or a feather or a similar shape that you can cut out. And also I found a seamstress who will make a miniature version of your dress from the fabric of your dress. It's sort of like a doll-sized version that you could frame. Now, if you're crafty and you like to make things, you can look at the examples and make it yourself. But I will link to a bunch of different artists who will do that work for you. Often, if you just Google in Etsy under wedding repurpose, you'll find all sorts of people who do this. There is a company called Fairy Godmother Creations who just seem to make everything from wedding dresses, including christening gowns, communion dresses, memory bears, doll clothes, purses, pillows, blankets, tree skirts, stockings, tooth fairy pillows, and fabric flowers. So they can take one dress and make a whole bunch of stuff from it. One way to avoid being in this situation in the first place is to not purchase wedding dresses or wedding accessories, but instead to rent them. The podcast Side Hustle School shared a story of a business that rents wedding accessories called Happily Ever Borrowed. They rent the accessories, not dresses, but even that can be a big help. The company Rent the Runway does rent wedding dresses. And I just recently heard a great interview with the founder of Rent the Runway, Jen Hyman, on the podcast How I Built This. Another company that rents wedding dresses is Borrowing Magnolia, and they have a neat service where they will send the dresses for you to try on at home. So hopefully all those ideas would inspire you to creatively reuse your dress and wedding accessories, or at least not purchase them in the first place so you don't have to face this problem down the line. While I'm on the topic of weddings, I wanted to share the idea that there are many organizations who will pick up your wedding flowers after the event and share them at nursing homes and other places. So that would be a great thing for a bride to organize as part of the wedding celebrations. I'll put a link to those organizations in the show notes. If you make items from wedding dresses or accessories, I would love to hear about your projects. Please email me at trashmagination@gmail.com. Until next time, may you see wedding dresses as just another source of creative reuse in your life.